This episode of Film Riot is brought to you by Domain.com. Today on Film Riot, we light shit on fire. Welcome to Film Riot. This is the takes of mystery, added the effects and techniques, going to some of your favorite Hollywood films. I'm your host, Ryan Conley, and if you missed it, we released our Fire Asset Pack last week, and with it, we released a fun promo sketch for it. This one.
Hiya, friend! What are you doing? Gardening?
No! I'm setting on fire!
Oh my! Where's a fella get a fires like that?
Well, trying Digital's Fire Asset, of course!
Did you say asses?
No. Assets.
Well, is that the only fires you got in your sack?
Golly, no! We've got tons! Like this fire! And this one! And this one! And this! And this! And a bunch more! 30 unique fires with 45 files in total.
If you want to see the whole promo, go right here. And if you want to check out our Fire Asset Pack, you can on our store right here. Anyway, ever since we released that promo, a lot of you have been asking how we did some of the effects. Most of all, this shot. And even more than that one, this shot.
Yeah. Looks like.
And since I'm starved for your approval, let's do it. Now all the stuff that I'm going to show you here, you don't need our pack for. If you have fire assets from somewhere else, you can just use those the exact same way. Video Copilot has Action Essentials, which has ridiculously awesome fire assets, and Rampant Design also has a large list of great fire assets, so wherever you're getting them from, you can still use these techniques. But first up, this shot. This shot relies on adding layers of fire to add depth to the shot and fill out the car. So we're first going to gather a bunch of fire assets that will work, like this one, this one, this one, and some embers. And now we'll start placing them in, putting them each in a blending mode like add. I'll place them in different spots like so, scaling and rotating to give the look of actually being on those areas of the car. And with some, like this one, adding a mesh warp so that I can bend the asset to curve onto the car to make it fit perfectly. We use these fireballs here for the tires and then finish it all off with some embers coming off the car. Next, I will pre-comp all the fire, slap that back into a blending mode of add, and then turn it off for now. Then I'm gonna add a grunge layer to the car, mask it to the shape that I want it to be, make sure that it's under our fire layer, then place the grunge in a blending mode, like screen, and then drop the opacity just a bit. We do this to give the paint that being burnt look. Moving on, next we're gonna add an orange solid, switch it to soft light, alt-click the stopwatch for opacity and type the expression wiggle, open bracket, 5, comma, 25, close bracket, and that's gonna make the opacity fluctuate, then mask around the car and the floor, feather, and we have some light for our fire. Next, we're gonna add an adjustment layer below the fire but above everything else and use this to simulate heat distortion. For this, you can use turbulent displace.
Turbulent displacement, turbulent displacement.
Or heat distortion from Video Copilot, which is 10 times better and you can find right here. So we will slap heat distortion on our adjustment layer and set it to get some nice waves happening, then mask around the area that we want it to affect so that it's only affecting that area behind the fire, and then add a feather again. Next is color correcting the fire. Out of the box, the fire is kind of dull since we left it ungraded. We did this on purpose so that you can squeeze as much color out of it as possible, making it easier to adjust our fires to fit your scene. For this one, we went with a bright yellow pinkish sort of color. To get that, we added curves to brighten it up, then hue saturation, selected the yellows and shifted them a bit more red. Next, we added brightness and contrast, upped the brightness and lowered the contrast a touch, filling out the fire a bit and giving it more of a realistic overexposed look. Then some sharpening to make it crisp. And finally, another instance of hue saturation. In the red, we shifted them a touch and darkened them up. And then in the yellow, we once again shifted them a bit towards the red and this time brightened them just a little bit. And now we have this, before and after our color correction. Finally, I'm gonna add an adjustment layer above everything, add a glow, and this fills out everything nicely, just ties all the individual pieces together. But now we add our overall grade for the shot, and we have. And that is basically how you will use the fire in almost every case. This one's a bit more difficult since you're layering so many assets together. Some of these are built to just work on their own, like our window fire. But now, a quick break, and then Nuke stuff. Domain.com is the place to go if you're trying to get a website to put your face upon it. You need a hosting service, and Domain.com has a reliable and affordable hosting service. What?
You wanted to put your face on the internet. It's a bit egotistical.
They got the domain discovery service to help you pick the right name for you, and when you use the coupon code Film Riot,
egotistical sounds like egotestical.
when you use the coupon code Film Riot, you get 50% off your domain name and web hosting. When you think domain names, think Domain.com.
Literally, the only reason you laughed is because I said testicle.
Yeah, I don't know if we could say that in an ad.
Logo.
Next up, and giving you what you want because I'm lonely and need you to love me, is this shot.
Yeah. Looks like.
This one is actually 10 times easier to do than the car shot. Ready? First, we grab our footage of Josh, which looks like this originally. Then we go into animation and select track in Mocha AE. Inside Mocha, I'm gonna move to a frame where the glasses have settled and select around the area that is close to where I wanna put the nuke. Then I'm gonna track forward. And this is tracking those areas and also the distortion in the glasses, which we will use. Once that is done, I'll go to where I started the track and track back, and you can see how insanely well Mocha does its job while tracking. But once I have what I need, I'll click export tracking data, making sure I have the one that accepts corner pin and motion blur, and then copy to clipboard. Now we'll go back to After Effects, add our nuke asset, which comes in our fire asset pack, and then pre-compose it. Then we just select the pre-composed layer and paste. And now all the tracking data and distortion, since it was using corner pinning, has been applied to that layer. Mocha does the entire job for us. So now all I have to do is position. To do that, I'm gonna lock this viewer, then select view, and then click new viewer. This is gonna pop up a second viewer for us, then double click my nuke comp so that I can move the asset and watch it update in real time in the final comp. And I'll do my masking in that comp too, watching it update again in the other. Now I'll trim my layer to start later in the shot, right about here, since we're not gonna notice it before that. Then add a little bit of blur, a slight color correction to fit in the scene a bit more, and turn on motion blur for the comp, and we have...
Yeah. Looks like.
Just all kinds of ridiculously easy to pull off, and to get it in the other lens, you just repeat the same technique, and you're done. Again, all this stuff can be done with any Fire asset. You don't need to use ours, and we have links to the Video Copilot and Rampant Design assets in our notes below, and if you want to check out our assets, you can check them out at our store right here. But that's it for today. I'll see you next week when the child said something about a check.